Yum, yum, yum. This friend of mine from Paris had been born and raised in Paris and never been out of the city in his life and came to Louisiana to visit. So one day my father told him, he said, I'm going to take you down to Melville, he said, and cook you a fish out in the woods. So we came down the river, we bought a catfish. We were 3 people. We bought a catfish, I think, weighed 12 pounds. And we went out in the woods somewhere back yonder. And we cooked that fish and we ate it all 12 pounds, 3 people. And this young man said, he said, you know what? He said, I've been in all those fancy restaurants, he said, in Paris. He said, the most famous restaurants that had international fame for their cuisine. But he said, I have never in my born days had eaten something that had so much aroma and taste as this food here in that old black pot. It was all cooked into one pot. You know, it took maybe a half an hour to cook. It wasn't all done in separate dishes and it took all day to cook. In half an hour it was done in one pot, you know. That's what really amazed him. He said, I've never eaten anything that tastes like this. Then he had never seen anybody cook a meal on a fire like that right there, you know, a wood fire. He thought it had to be done in a stove and all kind of stuff like that.
Tell me what's missing. Bit salt, pepper, or red, or...
Oh, we got missing as the rice?
Just stop fishing that
yeah.
you in the coastal over yonder.
I've never seen any use for a cookbook. Never.
Yeah, I don't need it.
You never used a cookbook?
No.
What about you, Alan? You ever use a cookbook?
No.
How about you, Mark? You ever use a cookbook?
No. Never read one.
Where do you learn to cook?
People like Alan and my father, people like that.
Just watching.
Just watching, experience. Made a lot of roux here because we're going to make a big gumbo. Roux is the same thing as your backbone. If you didn't have a backbone, you'd fall on the floor. And roux is the backbone of the gumbo. Take music away from the Cajuns, you don't have any culture. And if you take roux away from the gumbo, you ain't got gumbo. So I just pour oil and flour together until I get the right consistency, which is like a real thick dough. Like, keep stirring because it's hot and it's going to burn if you don't stir it. Les, have I told you my recipe for baked wall duck?
No.
And cypress? You know the cypress, like some woods have oil.
Yeah.
It's very pungent, it's very sweet smelling. And you can get a green cypress board and you can use it to bake wild ducks on it. You take a wild duck, but it's got to be a wild duck that comes from the local rice fields, you know, one that's been eating rice instead of little fish. And because if you get them from like around the marshes of the Gulf, they taste real fishy. So it's got to be a wild duck that's been killed in the wintertime around here in the rice fields. That way it's grain-fed, not corn-fed, but grain-fed. And you take the duck, you dress him out, you stuff the stomach cavity with garlic and onions, and you bake it on a green cypress board.
In an oven?
Yeah, in an oven for about 450. At about 450 degrees, and for about 2 hours, well seasoned with red pepper, salt, onions. And then when it's done, you throw the duck away and you eat the cypress board. best you know is better than a bowl of gumbo?
What?
2 bowls.